What is going on, Sumolings? How are you guys? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Let me know in the comments before we get going. Yes, yes. Ooh, a yes 2x. Thank you, Matthew. Cool. Awesome. Well, super excited to have you guys here. Today, we are going to be walking you through Quriobot. We have Anatoly, who's the co-founder of Quriobot. He's going to be giving us a walkthrough. If you are not aware, I imagine you are, but if you don't know yet what Quriobot is, it allows you to build friendly chatbots that will answer your questions and help your site visitors find what they're looking for, taking all of that manual work away from you and being able to automate that so you can work on the other parts of your business. Super cool tool. This is not the first time we've had it on AppSumo, but it is live in the AppSumo store right now. So if at any point during the webinar you're realizing, oh man, you want to get your hands on it, feel free to go over to appsumo.com and you can find Quriobot in the browse. I am going to turn this over to Anatoly, who is going to be giving you guys the walkthrough, and then I'll be coming back on to help out with questions at the end. So if you do have questions, if you you know the deal, below the video, you can type them in there and we'll get to those towards the end. But I will turn it over to Anatoly. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Of course, it's a great opportunity for us to bring the word out about our platform. I'm on a technical side at Quriobot, so please forgive me for sometimes over technical stuff I will be talking about, but yeah, that's just me. So you should be able to see both screens. One is the slides, another is the browser screen I have, and I will be doing that in parallel. So switching the slides and doing some demo in the browser. Yeah. So what is Quriobot? We believe that our mission is to change the way people interact with the brand, and that means most of the time improve the way people interact with the brand. That may mean, of course, many things, but we believe that web forms in particular are they can be improved a lot by a conversational UI. Plus, of course, in general, conversational approach to the communication between the brand and consumer is beneficial for both sides, because first of all, it can be asynchronous, so you don't have to wait on both sides for the response. People can do things in their own speed. That's also important nowadays, because of lots of streams of the information coming in, and it all goes in parallel. So it's a chatbot platform which enables users to build the bots yourself, using your own rules and your own content, and decide pretty much on every detail of the conversation. It's currently rule-based completely. As a software as a service, we started at the end of the 2017. A couple of months before it was started already to our enterprise clients as a tool which had no sort of backend interface to construct the bots, but the actual platform started a bit later, and the commercial start was in June 2018. And since then, we constantly improve it. And yeah, of course, this campaign, one of the main goals is to accelerate development of it and improvement of it. So why you might need a chatbot? One of the main reasons we believe is that web forms convert not great in general, and that can be improved in several times, in a couple of times normally that happens, comparing to just plain a web form. Then your customer service might spend a lot of time answering the same questions or helping with the same pages on your website over and over again, and that can be automated. Another reason is that nowadays people, consumers, they basically expect immediate answer to their requests, which is really problematic to fulfill with the limited resources and using the live chat tools, basically, because even though people are able to ask questions immediately using the live chat, but it's not always possible to answer them as quickly as they expect. And of course, to automate it using the conversational interface is not that easy in our experience. So we build that platform to simplify it, to make it really easy to start with the bot. But also, if you need to go advanced, you can do it. So what we offer, we offer the platform where you can build your bot in a couple of minutes, at least a simple one, and that would be conversational UI for your web forms, for your questionnaire, survey, etc. That bot will work 24/7 and will immediately answer the questions on your website or the Facebook page, engage with the customers, extract leads to your CRM, email, ERP, etc. And this way, and sort of the hard parts of the initial lead extraction, that heavy lifting is done by the platform, by the Quriobot. So platform consists of a couple of components. And the main one is the control room where you build your bots. You can see it on my screen. It's open now. A second part is the landing pages, where you can use Quriobot as a hosting for your bot. Looks like that. Can be customized, of course. So the bot is there. You don't have to dedicate your own page for the bot. You can just quickly start with it. You can also, of course, have it on your own domain if you need to. And third component is the widget, which you can put on your own website, on your own landing page if you need to. And that is basically this part, which is on the landing page, but it can be put on your own website. Here's my example WordPress website where this widget is put on the left. Most of the people, of course, use that, but yeah, you have your options. For some reason, I don't see my presentation. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, and the last component is the instant messenger channels. Currently, the Facebook channel is the only available, but we are working on adding more, like WhatsApp and Telegram. So that allows your page, the Facebook page, to be connected to the bot, and this way people can immediately get help from your brand on the social media. Important thing to understand about the platform is the organizations. We've got quite some questions on the AppSumo page regarding what is the organization, why you have sub-organizations, etc. So you can think of organization as an account dedicated to the brand or to the company or to the agency. That contains bots, and it can have several members. Both are unlimited amount of bots and number of bots and members. It's basically really similar to the on GitHub, except that on GitHub you can limit the access per bot, but we don't allow that. So if you've invited the member to your organization, that member would be able to see the bots from that organization, all of them. So if you need to separate that access between the groups of bots or separate bots, just one or two ones, so you can create sub-organization or just another organization. Each organization has its own billing and contact details, its own branding, logo, and information, stuff like that. But if you're a smaller company and you need to serve your own clients, create bots for them, it's still possible with just one organization. Simply because you might not need an access as a member for your clients. And instead, you can just share the report by the secret link for that bot, and that will be just enough. But if you need that access for your clients, then it's a good idea to create separate organization for that client. I mentioned sub-organization and just organization. Basically, they are equal, except that there's this referrer field, which points to that parent organization. But other than that, they are basically independent. And the main organization can contain unlimited number of sub-organizations. And Quriobot account can be a member of unlimited number of organizations or sub-organizations. So for example, you can have at your agency some webmaster who is managing all of your clients' organizations and sees all the bots in them. While your client might be a member of just one sub-organization and so only see those bots for that sub-organization. The bot basics. So key term is the step. We work around them. So you can think of the bot step as a form field. That's how it started, at least. And you can have as many steps as you need in your bot, and the conversation goes from one step to another using the rules you set. That's the core of the conversation. Like I said before, it's fully rule-based at the moment, so we don't pretend that we are doing some AI at the moment, but we do plan to add a dialog flow or similar in the future, just not at the moment. It's also supporting multilingual bots. We support a lot of languages, and we add them quickly by request. So you can have the same rules within the conversation for every language you want to support. And bot will detect user language automatically, being on the website. But also it's possible to force the language if you need to, for example, sync with the website language if you have that selected there. Important thing about the steps, they can have different types, which is also similar to the form. So it can be a number step, it can be email step, short text, slider, etc. One more advanced step type is the go-to, which I will talk about later. But that is probably the only step which potentially might be invisible. So each step consists of three sections or components, subcomponents. Bot messages, settings for that step, and responses. Bot messages. Those are displayed before the step question. For example, if you have, let me open my screen. Here's my step called begin. That's an entry point of the conversation. And here we have bot messages section we are editing. So those will be displayed before that the button to enter, to start the conversation is displayed. You can have as many messages as you want. You can reorder them, and they are they can be of different types. For some reason, I lost my slides again. Right. So they can have different types, which is text, link, info, message, video, image, script for advanced use, HTML, and avatar. So that will change the avatar of your board on the fly. Here you can select those types, and accordingly it will change the edit section of it according to the type. By the way, if you need to, you can adjust the delay for a certain message if you want to. Sometimes there can be a tricky content in it, so you might slow down. You might need to slow down. Next section is the settings for the step. Those include also the options. If it's a button or option-based step, like this one, which is the begin, has only one step, one option, yes. And there might be also other settings for the bot. For example, the accessibility mode title for the button, which you might want to change. By the accessibility mode, I mean the deaf people, the blind people, sorry, and for them it's important that screen readers can properly navigate within the conversation. So every UI element which is not textual should have a textual alternative. Next section is the responses, and that is used when you have answered the step question. So in this case, we use one response. This is the message of it, and this is the condition of it. So if I answer yes on this step, then those messages will be shown, and then important part is the next step. That's where the conversation will go to after those messages will be shown. For the response, also the same set of types of messages can be shown. We can preview that bot to understand what I mean. Restart it. So here it shows those messages of the section 1, and this is the actual question, the section 2. And here goes the section 3, which is the responses. And here it finishes. This goes for, to the next step, which also has its own options, and that is the question of the next step. Right. Okay. For some reason that slides are switching off constantly. Right. Sorry about that. So, as you might notice, I used two views of the same bot, which is the list view and diagram view. Both, in our experience, are useful. List view is great when you have a lot of steps, and it's just not really practical to put them all in the diagram. But for the smaller for the smaller bots, but with the complicated jump logic, it's really visual and easy to understand in the diagram view how your logic goes. You also animate the transitions, and it's just a much more elegant way of displaying the logic. Here you can see my step. Number 1, it has option yes. From that option, we go to the step number 2. It has multiple options, and those go to the goodbye step, and that goes to exit. Of course, in real life bots, it's much more complicated, but yeah, you see the idea. understand what's going on with that presentation. Right. For the settings of the bot itself, you can control pretty much every aspect of the bot. You can set the supported languages. You can remove Quriobot banding. You can change design settings, a lot of colors, position, the appearance settings, etc. You can control bot behavior for the startup. Also the soft start text, which is shown here. That's the soft start. You can control the logic behind it, because that can be quite involved. You might want to show it always. You might want to show it only if person didn't interact with the bot. You set the delay both for the auto start of the bot or for the stop start. You can control the speed of the bot, which is the range of the time between the messages, and within that range, the random selection will be applied. You can enable reCAPTCHA from Google. You can store the state of the bot between the visits, send bot actions to analytics, stuff like that. You can customize the branding of the bot with the avatars. You can upload the backgrounds for the landing page of ours, and there can be multiple backgrounds which you can switch on the fly within the conversation, during the conversation. And there are privacy settings for GDPR compliance. Default responses, that section controls the cases where the answer given to the bot is not satisfying, so you need to show the error message. We have 3 types of them. Invalid means that it's invalid format. Missing means that it's just not given, and not found means that in the autocomplete step, by your search, nothing is found. Let me open the slides again. I cannot do it. Right. All right, bot settings. Yeah, and important part to understand is that you can code for your bot if you need to. Sometimes, actually, most of the time, for really complicated bots, it's just not enough to set it up using basically without the custom scripting. For example, you can have a complicated calculation within your bot, like we had for our client. We were doing estimation on your insurance, so that's just simply impossible to program visually with the blocks or with other tools. You just need to script it, and for that we use just JavaScript functions, which you can enter in your bot using the script variables, as we call them. Yeah, so that possibility for the scripting is enabled by the developer mode, which you can do here. Yeah. The channels of the bot. Currently, we support the landing page, as I mentioned, the widget, Facebook, and WhatsApp is in progress. It should be ready this year. Um, let's go to the reporting. What do you do with your data? We have several reports. Summary is a basic report which shows the general stats per device and per channel as well. You can see here the web and Facebook and exits of the bot. Those exits means that um, those steps which can be the final part of the conversation. The progress over time report gives you an idea how it's performing over time, number of responses given, and that can be grouped by device, exit, channel, and it can be a cumulative one. Result grid gives you sort of raw access to your response data. There you can see all the answers to all the steps, and you can see also the detailed view per the conversation. Contacts is a recently added report. It will show the extracted channels out of your clients' interactions. So those are by email, phone number, or the Facebook ID. Interactive report is sort of a way to dive into the conversation to understand where and how visitors answer it. You can see the stats. You can also filter the basically that report by the answers and apply those filters to any steps. And you can also navigate within the conversation, as you can see on the right, so to where people could go from that step. And you can also see the numbers, of course, per each option and per each step. It shows also the messages that were shown to the user during that step. The dropouts report is sort of a way to debug your bot to understand what and when you lose your customers, where they finish the conversation prematurely, and try to improve there. The locations report shows you the geographical stats per visits. It also has the list view per country. And of course, you can share that report, as I mentioned already. You can share that report to external party, which doesn't need an access to the system. That link will be always there until you regenerate it or remove it. If you want to stop allowing the access, and that link will be showing the live data, so you don't have to resend it just to update that report. So a person can just use it multiple times, and it will be showing the live data. Right. And again, I lost the slides.
All right, let's see here.
Chris, maybe you can help.
I got
because
it.
I cannot open the slides again for some reason. I
I
mean,
see the
sometimes it
slides
works.
on.
Yeah, okay.
I
Now
can see them on my end. Can you see them?
okay. Yeah,
There it
now
is.
yes, but it
Cool.
just disappears randomly. So for some reason, right. Um, yeah, maybe I forgot one important step type is the go-to. Um, that that is the step which can be used only for the jump logic of your conversation and not necessarily for the visual questions. So you can create it and route your conversation accordingly as you need to without showing any texts and any response messages. Yeah, that I forgot to mention. The responses. Right, the notifications. So you can have all kinds of notifications sent to your email address or other services. The built-in part is the email notifications per response. It can be a digest per day, week, and month. You could include in those digests. You can include statistics per step if you want to. It will give you a number of responses given within that period selected. So you can, for example, see how many leads did you generate if you select the email address step. You can customize from address for those digests and notifications. If you, for example, send it to your colleagues, you can also customize you can also send that chat transcript to the respondent of the bot. And there you can customize the subject sent to the respondent, so it can be fully a white label in that sense. Another part is the response connections. Those are sent after the conversation is done, and that data which you collected you can push to external system. It does also include custom email if you need to. So this is just HTML, and that HTML you can use bot variables, which we'll be talking about later. And those basically are your data extracted from your bot or calculations which you can do. So email is just one type of the response action, but there are many others. So it can be a form which will effectively emulate the form submission to some other service, and you can use the data from your bot for the values of that form. It can be Slack notification, it can be JSON webhook, and there, of course, you can also use the variables and step data. You can connect to a MailChimp. Basically, that is similar to the form submission, but with pre-created fields. So you can set your data from your form of the MailChimp, and it will send the data there. Zapier integration can be done through the webhook. And from Zapier, you can, of course, connect to much more other systems if you need to. Important thing about the response actions that they can have conditions bound to each of them so that you can skip certain unnecessary cases for that certain notification. For example, if you have an empty email, then there is no need to bother your colleague, stuff like that. So that advanced condition is also actually available in the responses. It's the same approach where you have rules, and on the left side of the rule is the step, and there's operator, and there's a value which you can select. Right. Bot variables, as I mentioned, that's the way you can use your bot data within the content of the bot itself. So for example, if you have answer to the step number 1, and you need to use that answer within the conversation, you can create a variable for it and use it with a simple syntax. Within your conversation, it will be like that. We also help you to create them with this tool, which automatically inserts it. But if you remember its name, you can just type it yourself. Important thing to know about the variables, that they can be scripted. We call them script variables, and there you can program your logic, and that function is asynchronous for those who were so you can call external service in order to get the value of the variable, and variable can use another variable for the calculation as well. Another type of the variables is the text, which can be a static value if you need to. For example, it can be some constant in the calculation which is changing over time, but not too fast. Yeah. A question which is asked a lot is how do you support live chat within your system? So the answer is that we have Facebook integration, which allows 2 modes of the conversation: the live chat and the automated bot, with the fallback between each other. And the live chat would be still on the Facebook side, so you can use the same app from Facebook to communicate with your visitor, and bot will actually only take part of the automation. So it will create response, and when it's called for the takeover from the live person, then it basically disappears from the conversation. And the native integration, implementation of the live chat is in progress and should be done soon. But if you need the live chat for the web, you can do it using the Facebook chat plugin, which I will demonstrate basically now. So in my example, I have created the instant messenger channel of type Facebook connected to my page. And you can see that I used that Facebook chat plugin, as they call it, on my website. This way, you can integrate or take the best from both parts. It's the Facebook, which is already installed on your clients and also on the agent's phone. And at the same time, you can still use the web interface. So person can interact from the device or from the website. On this example, I put both Quriobot widget and Facebook chat plugin at the same in the same place, but that's of course not necessary. So the conversation on the Facebook is essentially repeating what is on the web, of course, but with the limitations applied by Facebook. Some of you asked those questions why, for example, the multi-select options are cut by the length. This is just how Facebook works. We use their templates for the messages, and they just have their own limitations. So that's that. But in the advanced mode of each step, which is executed here, you can we basically eliminate those by having that pop-up. And here you see all the options, and those can be selected here and answered. Right. So my conversation is finished. I'll delete it to demonstrate another feature.
Hey, it looks like your screen share
that feature
isn't. It looks like your
is
screen
about
share
the growth
isn't
tool.
sharing. Is there a way to
So the
do
comment
that
trigger,
again?
as we
It might
call
have
it,
closed out.
that's when
Yeah, I can't see your
you
screen.
are able to engage with visitors of your page, even though they didn't directly write using the send message to your brand, but they just commented on your post. And that is also checking if that person already is your contact or not, and that only will happen one time, only happen once. So for the new contacts of yours, you can basically extract them using this tool. We'll show you how it's done. In the Facebook channel settings, we added that. Sorry? Isn't sharing? Okay, I see, because for me it shows it that I'm sharing. Okay, let's
Yeah, we
try
just
again.
have the presentation right now.
Let me check. Yeah, maybe. Okay, now the screen
Yeah,
sharing.
got the.
I cannot disable it, so I cannot restart it for some reason. I stopped it, but I can't start it again. That's a shame. Maybe I can reload the page. Will it drop it?
Okay. Yeah, let's try that. Sorry guys for the technical issues here. We haven't done a screen share as well as a presentation at the same time, so it has been a bit back and forth trying to get that working. So I appreciate you guys sticking with us.
Yes. Do you see it now?
Let's see. Yep, there it is. Okay. So for the rest
Yeah,
of this, because there's been a lot of switching, let's just keep it on your looks like you're at the end of the presentation. So let's just keep
yeah,
it on the screen share, and then you can wrap up what you're
yeah.
walking
I
through, and
didn't.
then we'll go through the questions.
Yeah, I didn't disable it, so I didn't switch it off. It just that system does
Awesome.
it for some reason.
You wanna
So
go
sorry
through
about
some
that. So yeah, this is my channel settings, and I
the
enable
questions?
the trigger the bot byte comment
Okay.
on your
So
post.
Stephanie,
Um,
no, that's all right.
and
Apologies for
there
the technical
are
issues.
settings
So
connected
Stephanie
to it.
asks, how many
So that's the
Facebook pages can
message
Quriobot attach to?
which will be sent
Can
as a
an
private
organization or
reply to that person.
sub-organization attach to
And
more than
there are
one
also
different Facebook
filters
page?
by the keywords
Uh,
available, so that you can only
oh,
react
she
to
asks,
certain
how
keywords
many
instead of
Facebook pages can
adding a message,
Quriobot
basically.
attach to?
Soon we plan to add also the post selector here, so that you can only listen to the certain post comments and not to all the posts of your page. Um, so we removed the agent, so that that person pretends that he didn't interact with the brand yet, and now he comments on the post of that page with a keyword, um, and we should be receiving the private message, right? So that brand sends the message to the new contact with that message we had in the settings, and it also resolves the name of the person correctly. So now if that person will interact back, the bot will kick in and will convert or extract that lead. That is basically how it works. We of course plan to add more possibilities in the future to it, so that you can also do a custom processing of that reply on top of the bot logic, but at the moment it's that. Let me check. I think I'm done with the slides, but I cannot open it again, but I will check with my other screen. Yeah, that was it basically. Yeah, that feature. Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think it's fine. Sorry, it took much more time than planned, but yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. You have echo for some reason. Maybe. Uh, yeah, I understand the question, but you have echo. I mean, I hear you with a great echo for some reason. But yeah, single bot can be attached to a single page of the Facebook at the moment. That's the limitation, but you can have many bots attached to different bot page, to different Facebook pages. So that's that.
Okay. Does Quriobot integrate with Digaloflow? Dilogflow? I don't know what that one
Dialect
is.
flow. That's as I mentioned, we plan to integrate later, but not at the moment. Yeah, the dialect flow. Yeah, it's of course industry leader, but at the moment, Quriobot is rule based system.
Mhm. Okay. Will asks if you can add a first name variable element in the app.
Well, not sure I understand the question, but yeah, the first name variable is resolved in the app. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean it's basically if you probably mean that private message variables, then yeah, there are two variables available. first name and last name, only those two. But for the bot conversation itself, when the bot kicks in, then all the variables are resolved, all the built-in ones, and those you add yourself.
Okay. Henry asks, how many sub-organizations can one organization create?
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's unlimited. You can have as many as you need. There's no limit on that, and there's also no limit on the number of members within the single organization, and also the number of bots within single organization.
All right. And the last question we have, does Quriobot have an SLA agreement?
Well, we don't actually commit explicitly to that, but yeah, it's we are basically completely hosted on Amazon and in a highly available setup. So we are pretty confident in the infrastructure. And historically, for those almost 3 years, we had like 99.5% availability.
Awesome.
But yeah, we are working to improve that.
Excellent. Well, those are, let me, oh, we got a couple more questions that just, so Stephanie was following up. She said, if I stack, I imagine she means if I stack a code and have sub-organizations, does that mean only the main organization can attach to Facebook?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. I mean, like I mentioned, those sub-organizations are independent, and all the features are available also for the sub-organizations.
Cool.
You can use all the features.
Awesome. Okay, Stephanie, hope that gets your answer for you. We got another question. When will the API be available for integrations with other systems?
Yeah, in the coming month or two, we are planning to create a separate section called integrations. It will be like a marketplace. So it's much more robust system than we have currently. Not like plain JSON and form submission, but it will be integrated with MailChimp on a deeper level. Also, we plan to add Freshdesk support, other systems, so it will be much easier to integrate.
Okay, awesome. Gary asks, if we ask the user for first name and the user enters first and last, when I feedback the first name, what will Quriobot display?
Well, not sure I completely understand, because if you ask for the first name, user expected to enter just first name, and if he enters more, then you have to process that data yourself. I mean, you can split it and only use the first half. That's one way, using the script variable. That's one way, but you can also just ask for the full name and use it everywhere. That will be probably easier.
Awesome. Looks like we are out of questions, and we are just at the time we set for this. So right on time. Thank you so much for joining us, Anatoly, and doing this walkthrough. I'm sure people really appreciate it. If we could give some thank yous to Anatoly for taking the time for walking us through this. If you guys want to check out more about Quriobot, you can do so over on AppSumo. And do you have any final words you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure to walk you through the platform, and I really appreciate your support given to us to accelerate the development and improvement of the system. Yeah, thank you for your believing in us.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We love having you guys. So we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you all for joining us. If you have any further questions, you can leave them on the Quriobot deal page on AppSumo, and we'll get those answered for you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.